Well, it seems like we have a lot of things to get into that happened this week. It was very crazy and wild, but I'm not going to waste that much time. Let's go ahead and get into the news. Our first story will be news about the PlayStation 6 apparently having an AMD chip with backwards compatibility, it's claimed. The next generation of PlayStation, a la the PS6, is already well in development, and major decisions on the console have already been made. According to a new report from Reuters, however you say it, the new PS6 will once again feature an AMD chip in the system. The report says that Sony and Intel were in talks, but Intel lost the contract to AMD back in 2022. The report claims that one of the disputes between Intel and Sony involved how much profit Intel would make from each processor. On top of the price dispute, backwards compatibility is said to be a major sticking point with Sony. Moving from AMD, which made the PlayStation 5 chip, to Intel would have risked backwards compatibility, which was a subject of discussion between Intel and Sony engineers and executives. The report states, ensuring backwards compatibility with prior versions of the PlayStation would have been costly and taken engineering resources. Now, I don't know about y'all, but having PlayStation 6 news this early to me is outright bonkers. Like, we just got a reveal for the PS5 Pro, and I guess it makes sense to start hearing rumors since this console's been around, what, 4 years, and if I had to guess, probably in the next 2 to 3 years we're going to end up having a PS6, which, man, I'm getting old. But on the subject of backwards compatibility, that is something I think a lot of gamers are interested in, because the demand for that has been very, very high, especially when we live in a world where there's a lot of games that you don't have access to, and the only way that people can have access to it is via emulator, either on the Steam Deck or on PC with certain titles. And I think if they were to try to go all in, not just with a whole catalog of PlayStation games from the PS1 all the way through up to the PS4, I think would be fucking insane. And maybe add a couple like third parties as well that a lot of people enjoyed like back in the day on the PS3 and 2. I think that'd be something that'd be pretty dope. And they can all benefit from some type of resolution bump or frame rate boost in a sense. And I think that would be one of the biggest selling points. But if this is the case, then I think it's very disappointing. You got to wait to almost 2030 just to, you know, have some type of backwards compatibility. It's mind blowing to me, especially when you announce the PS5 Pro, which got lambasted by everybody. That could have been one of the selling points for that console, having backwards compatibility. Of course, people would have still been angry about the price, and the price was a little bit lower, like let's say $500 for the PS5 Pro, and then for the base PS5, it's like what, $400 or $350? I don't know. This is what we get when PlayStation don't have competition. A new update regarding Marathon, it said that the game is targeting a $40 launch price. They're choosing to opt for a pay-to-play premium model over a free-to-play model that's been seen in many modern shooters. The game post understands that it's likely that discussions between Bungie and Sony have taken place around Marathon's pricing strategy after the disastrous launch of Sony's latest live service game Concord, which also launched $40 but was shut down just 2 weeks later. However, sources confirmed that a $40 price point was definitely in the cards. Now, earlier this year, IGN's own Rebecca Valentine reported that Marathon shifted into a new direction under its new director, Joe Ziegler, moving away from custom player characters in favor of a selectable class of heroes. But now multiple sources have confirmed to the game post that Marathon is not hero focused, which is what many seem to believe. The heroes in Marathon are classes, each within its own set of abilities, along with a special ability and very different play style compared to others. The core gameplay structure is compared to games like Escape from Tarkov, but with a Bungie twist, according to one source. Currently, 2 maps are in a playable state, one set on the planet in an abandoned colony and the other aboard the Marathon ship. It's unclear, however, if these will be the only maps at launch or if Bungie plans to include more. Over the past few months, Bungie has been conducting regular playtests with internal teams, streamers, and content creators. Sources tell us the feedback around the game has been somewhat positive, with one source noting that the game feels worth the $40 price tag. In addition to the new trailer for Marathon is said to be in production. Multiple sources have indicated that Bungie is putting in extra effort into Marathon's new player experience. Destiny 2 Bungie's flagship title, was often criticized for being confusing or overwhelming to new players, and Marathon aims to avoid this. From the start, developers are focused on making sure players have a smoother onboarding process, lowering the barrier to entry. Despite positive feedback from playtests, morale within Bungie remains low as developers have grown increasingly frustrated with leadership amid recent changes at the studio. Concerns remain high about the launch of Bungie's next big project, Marathon, with the game's success pivotal for Bungie's and Destiny's future. There's a lot riding on how Marathon performs. The Game Post has contacted Bungie for comment and will update the story with any further info. Now, from what it sounds like that they're trying to go from some type of Rainbow Six-esque type of game, the way they're describing the different classes of who you play as, which sounds interesting, but I don't know how gamers are going to respond to another live service game that is $40. They're just going to have to wait and see, or they're in the wait and see boat, especially with Bungie sounding like that they're in dire straits as a company, which for them, at least I hope it pays off, because if not, you could see the possibility of that studio getting shut down, and then I could just see the outrage that Sony will get for shutting down the studio. Next up, we got some new info from Charlie Intel. According to the next Battlefield, said it's supposed to launch sometime next year in 2025 and will be a modern setting with classic 64 players, return to class system, and a return to core Battlefield. And this was the first concept art that was revealed. Now, Vince Zampella, who is the head of Battlefield at EA, told IGN he thinks Battlefield can outsell Call of Duty. So I think absolutely it can. I mean, is that what we're going for? I mean, not directly, but always. We're not looking to take down Call of Duty. We're making something that's different, and we're making something that's us. But yeah, it definitely has the possibility. As a note, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, one of the lowest selling CODs, outsold the Battlefield 1 in 2016. Now, in terms of what Vince Zampella said, I don't know if this game could outsell Call of Duty. Like, it depends on what next year's COD is, because I think Infinity Ward is supposed to be making the next one, and after the reception that was with Modern Warfare 3, I don't know if their next game is going to be highly anticipated unless they blow people's socks off like Treyarch is doing right now with Blob 6. Jeff Keighley also spilled the beans on a couple little bit more tidbits about this game, saying that there will be at least 3 other developers co-developing this game. DICE will be making the multiplayer, Criterion will be making the single player / multiplayer, Motive for the single player, and Ripple Effect for a new experience that isn't really said. If I had to guess, it may be some type of Warzone thing, but then again, somebody could say, well, Battlefield 2042 is the closest thing you can get to a Warzone style of map or gameplay, but I digress. But my biggest problem with this is, why the hell do you have 3 other developers co-developing this game when at one point in time, DICE did everything by themselves? They never relied on anybody's help. Now, I'm not saying that it's odd to have co-developers on the game. Usually it's very, very small, like probably 5 or 10 people or around that ballpark. Here, you got whole developers stopping what they're doing with their projects to help you out with the game. And we've been down this road before with Battlefield 2042, and we saw what happened. It came out buggy as fuck, and it was something that initially gamers wasn't really fucking with. Now people have grown to like it, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be something that knocks people's socks off day 1, and by day 365, it still knocks people's socks off. Mind you, Criterion is having to put off the next Need for Speed to help y'all again. And Motive is having to put off their Iron Man game to help y'all out with this. Now, I don't know nothing about Ripple Effect. Maybe somebody could chime in on who the hell they are. But all I know is, if you got both of them co-developing this game, it better knock our socks off. All I know. There's a new update regarding Skate. They announced on Twitter saying that they're incredibly stoked to announce that they will be going into early access sometime in 2025, and that they'll share more details on what to expect in the coming months. Now, some people may be disappointed by the term early access, but I feel like this could be a safe approach, and in a very good way, because it seems like the devs for this game, they want to make a solid Skate game because of how beloved that franchise is by many. And I'll be the first to admit, I never really got into the Skate franchise.
Boo this man!
Now, according to Discussing Film, the next Star Wars Jedi game will be the last chapter in the series. And this is a franchise that I've honestly adored. I love the first one. I'm still playing through the second one. And after the third one, I am really curious on what they will do with the Star Wars IP going forward, because afterwards they could make a scoundrel like game in the same vein as what Project Ragtag would have been, but I don't know, maybe some people would have their own gripes about that. Like, why would EA kill off Star Wars 1313 and Project Ragtag just to revive it after people realize, hey, we like single player games, or the people let y'all know that they like single player games when they bought the games. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, officially rated by the ESRB. Horizon Zero Dawn is already available on PC and PS5 via backwards compatibility, basically saying you ain't even got to spend the extra money. Now, it is said to believe that the PS5 version of Horizon Zero Dawn will update the character models from the original PS4 to kind of put them in line with Forbidden West. But that's not the only remaster in town, folks. Apparently, there's some rumors going around that Days Gone is getting a remaster as well. Now, this rumor comes from Jordan Miller. If he was angry that his character is in Astrobot, he's going to lose his mind at this, in which he said in response to another post suggesting that an even less exciting remaster than the reported Horizon Zero Dawn remaster was coming. Now, here's my thing about this. You remaster Days Gone, but don't greenlight a Days Gone 2. Now, granted, I know that's not a PlayStation issue, that's a Sony Ben issue. And I'm looking at Sony Ben like, okay, cool. If y'all are agreeing to have a remaster of this game come out, then guess what? Y'all need to put on your big boy pants, strap yourself up by your work boots, go up to your boss, ask for a raise, and greenlight Days Gone 2. Okay? Go to your management, ask them, and get them to talk to PlayStation to greenlight this, because it wouldn't make any sense for them to tell y'all, let's put R&D in a remaster and not a sequel. People seem to like it, but because of the Metascore, PlayStation was like, nope, no sequel. Now, as far as Horizon goes, honestly, Horizon Zero Dawn, I feel like that's a better game than Forbidden West. That may be an unpopular opinion to people, but even as much as I enjoyed the first one, I can't see myself spending money on a remaster. And it's kind of going to give PlayStation more of a bad look and just kind of hit them with the old remaster station kind of slog we're in. And the rumors are that this remaster is supposed to be announced at a rumored state of play, which if they were to do that, the backlash they're gonna get from that is gonna be insane. And if they do have a state of play coming, you need to bring your fucking heavy hitters. Let me know what y'all think about all these stories in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.